Station. 5 stars for participation. It's a COVID operation. I'll be here this way, you station. I lost my Bonnie. By that time, you already banged it. She armed and dangerous. Long hair got me tangled up. You are my Topanga. Stood your ground even when they aimed at us. Even through all of that pain, none of it was in vain. And I'm proud of who you become. Hope you feel the same.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Halts with me, Thick Teddy, Ant, and we have a very special guest today, Mitch Picks. How are you doing today, Mitch?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Ant, what's up with that hand?
Oh, you want me to tell the story quick?
Oh yeah, I want to hear it.
We're recording this on a Sunday. I had a baseball game, and apparently I broke my thumb. I was diving for a ball, and I kind of landed on my glove, and my glove was on this hand, and it was pinned against my body, and just my hand started to swell up real bad. And then I went to the emergency room, and he said it was broken and dislocated, so he had to fucking put my thumb back in place, and it was broken at the same time, and it hurt so bad. So apparently he gave me this thing until I can get a cast.
Sounds terrible.
So, yeah, that was not fun. But
is that just to keep the swelling down type of thing?
I don't know. There's a metal thing here, so I can't move my thumb. It's just to keep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically just to keep it in place until I can get a real cast on it. So, yeah, that's how my day went.
Yeah, rest in peace. I had a wedding last night. Had a few too many, but it was a good time. And then we had brunch this morning with the bride and groom, and yeah, so I'm back now though. It was fun. You anything fun this weekend, Mitch?
Not really. I know, like you were saying, with the weddings, there's been a ton of weddings this weekend. It seems like all my friends were at weddings, so I kind of just chilled, relaxing for once, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. I mean, you're all around the place. We'll get into that later, but I know I've seen you on vacations to sweet, cool places recently. So yeah, weekend to relax isn't the end of the world.
Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, we want to hop into some news here real quick. First off, we have the SESN knife. I'm not sure if you saw that. It was a bio where they had a PDUFA, however you prefer to say it, and they got a complete response letter. And I had a lot of questions of people who were in SESN, and they wanted to know if we think it's going to kind of rebound, because I think it dropped 60%. And my opinion on that is it's not going to rebound. It's the only drug in their pipeline, and they still have a 400 mil market cap at $2. And so I think that was kind of a knife right in their heart, kind of, as a company.
Yeah, and I think so. I was actually away from my computer at that time, so I came back and I saw everyone was talking about that. I was like, "What the fuck is going on with this?" I've seen some weird things happen, but midday is kind of fucked up that they came up with that.
It was
Especially
brutal.
It was a Friday too, so I mean that's some shit right there. I had watched SESN a little bit. I didn't know anything about their drug pipeline or anything like that. I was not in it or anything like that. I know a lot of people were in it, and that's one of those situations where you live and you learn, and you kind of just have to take profits on the way up, and that's kind of what I try to do. Stocks like that, I'll scalp them. I don't like to swing those ones because there's a high risk of, especially biotechs, a high risk of something like that happening or even an offering. So, you never really know. The higher it goes, the higher the risk is.
Exactly.
So,
I think it was that was for I think it was for bladder cancer or something. I think that's what their drug was for. But I'm looking at I didn't realize it dropped from almost $6 to 80 cents, 70 cents.
Yeah. I think it's going back to 80 cents.
That's a big time drop.
I know that they literally don't have anything else in their pipeline. I know that.
Yeah.
And also, like Mitch was saying, the fact that they dropped it on a Friday, I get that there's some stuff you can't wait. If the FDA sends you something, you have to release it within a certain amount of time, but also that they did it midday on a Friday. That's not a company I like. I'll say that.
Nope.
Right.
And then the next thing we got is Wish earnings report. And Wish is a hot topic on Twitter right now. So I just kind of want to get you guys, I know they missed earnings and they dropped, I think 20% immediately or within an hour. But what do you guys think about that earnings report? Does it make you feel more bullish, bearish for the short term? How you feeling?
I think I think personally, I think long term it's all right. I don't personally have the stock right now. I'm not a huge fan of holding. I consider it a penny stock still because it's under. I mean, it's around the $10 before the earnings, hovering around the $10 mark. So I don't like to hold any stock around that mark or under through earnings because a lot of times, even if there's good earnings, um, they'll have some weird thing happen where they drop it. Um, so for me, it'll probably consolidate. There's a lot of people on it. They have good revenue. So I mean, maybe eventually. But the thing is, I think you have to be really patient with it. It's a slow mover. And if you can be patient and just throw some extra capital at it, it could be one you could just put it in an IRA. And
Yeah.
I mean, under $10, it's probably a decent price. It'll probably pop back over 15, 20 at some point. But for day traders, it's probably not the best stock to trade. But long term, I could see it probably eventually at some point turning around. And there is some buyout rumors too.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about that. I've heard like Amazon and a couple other companies. And if that's true, then yeah, I could see 20 plus dollars, but probably not for at least over a year from now. But it's probably a decent place to put some extra capital in if
Yeah.
you extra capital on the sideline. It's a slow mover.
I have strong opinions on Wish, kinda, for a few reasons. For first thing is we saw on the 11th, Wish didn't have a run up. I think ER was on the 12th. You could see it was just downtrending all day. That's kind of a telltale sign that the ER might not be the best. Also, if we're looking at Amazon's earnings report, and we saw what happened with Amazon, there's another telltale sign like, okay, if Amazon doesn't have a good earnings, I highly doubt Wish is going to have a good earnings report. Another thing too, is which I hate seeing, is it's obviously a very, very overcrowded stock, and like people giving people shit on Twitter about it. Like, you had your chance to make money a bunch of times here the last few months. I just hate seeing people put blame on other people. Like, you have to be able to manage your own risk and manage your position. If you didn't take profit on something because you think it's going to $50, it's nobody's fault but your own. Not to be harsh, but I think Wish is a perfect example of, one, 90% of the time you shouldn't hold through earnings, and two, you need to be able to manage your own risk. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
I agree. I think for me, Wish is a good long-term investment. People are treating it as the next Amazon, which I disagree with, but I think for now it's a good investment if you're looking for an IRA piece, just like Mitch said. But I think it's good. It's not great. This price is good though. I like this price.
Yeah.
The last thing I have is the August market. And we all kind of saw what people were saying going into the August market, saying it was going to be the worst month of the year. We're going to see a SPY knife, that kind of thing, a big pullback. We have not seen anything crazy like that. We've seen some volume declines, particularly in the small caps. Also large caps, the volume has kind of relatively been small, but we've seen a little bit of that. And we've also seen some weight pulling down small caps. I can feel it. I can also feel it in the bio sector, some weight pulling down bio plays. But Mitch, what are you thinking about the August market and maybe the August into September market here?
Yeah, so August is, I mean, it's the same basically every year. And I mean, I don't think people really manage their risk or even really, I mean, what you should do is you should write notes and really know what happens each month, because it's very similar each month as to what happens. Like for at least for, I'm talking mostly like microcap stocks. So microcaps, January is the best month for microcaps. And then August is always the worst month. And most of it is because there's not a lot of volume. Everyone's going on vacation all month and doing whatever. So what I do is I barely trade any microcaps in August. And what I'll do is I'll completely change my strategy. And instead of swing trading these penny stocks, I'll swing trade options on large caps, because August is still somewhat decent for the NASDAQ and the SPY. September and October is when the large caps start taking a little bit of a hit. But August, it still kind of holds up a little bit. So you're able to, especially right now, like the tech sector is still really hot. So for example, I have some Facebook calls for like early September. But basically, what my strategy right now is to swing trade options on large caps, and then basically day trade scalp. I've been Moderna's been one I've been scalping a lot, and I know a lot of people don't have the capital to be able to do that, so it might not be the best strategy for everyone, but it's definitely a market for scalping and day trading, and that's what makes it very difficult for me, who I like to swing trade a lot of stuff. So it makes it's a different market. So a lot of times I'll just take off, have a couple extra beers in the afternoon or something, or whatever it might be, instead of say January, where I might trade 10 plus hours a day. So August is definitely a month just to relax and chill and be more cautious. Be very cautious. Don't slap the ask. Maybe have a bid instead, and do stuff like that. Do little things like that, and that kind of stuff. Yes. Play more defense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think people feel like they have to trade every day, and like that's just not the case, really. You don't want to make 2 steps forward and 2 steps back because you're really not making any progress. I know I've been preaching, like, when I put my swing list out, I'm taking profits super early. Like, I'll completely scale out of something. Like, I know I was playing NNDM this week, and it had like a nice $1 or so pop, and I just completely scaled out. Normally I'd like to hold a swing for maybe a month or longer, but yeah, I don't know. I just think August, especially maybe early September, sometimes the best play to make is nothing at all. So I think that comes with experience as well. Like this season of the podcast is for newer traders, and that's something I would write down. Like Mitch said, August is historically slow. You don't have to make a trade every day. So
yeah, I agree. I would say the biggest thing that I've been doing is simply just looking back, like sitting back and looking at my past trades and just kind of reflecting rather than forcing myself to make new trades. So I've been Monday making a trade, and then Tuesday, if the time is off, I just go back and look at my Monday trades, see how they went, kind of annotate them on the chart, that kind of thing. Spending time learning and keeping sharp, but also not over trading, because over trading, it's one of those things. In August, it'll kill you. In January, you'll be fine. In August, it'll kill you. So I've been sticking to large caps as well. I released my weekly watch list, and I think 6 out of the 8 were large caps this week, because usually it's mostly small cap based because I like trading small caps. But yeah, large caps are the move for August, probably into September as well. Options, you can scalp the options for a little better percent, or you can stick to the commons for a smaller percent. But yeah, if you have to take a full day off, take a full day off. If you're not seeing anything, don't take anything, and look at large caps. They usually follow trends a little bit better. That's kind of my August roundup right there.
Yeah, one other thing quick too is like this past week specifically has felt super slow. Like you're seeing things with no follow through. If you're seeing like if you're looking at the first half of the day and you're seeing there's no follow through in anything you're looking at, take the day off. Like you want to see strength, and you can kind of tell that the first half of the day. So yeah, I think a good tip is you just don't have to trade every single day. If you'll get that gut feeling like Teddy talks about. If it doesn't feel right, then don't make a trade. So
exactly.
Oh, I gotta show you guys this quick. I picked this pumpkin beer up.
Oh wow.
I think they're releasing all their fall stuff, and it's actually really good.
Is it Dogfish Head or whatever?
Yeah, dude, they have the best artwork.
It's sweet, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Does it taste like pumpkin?
Yeah, it actually does. It's you can kind of taste like cinnamon and stuff. I know you picked up those Vizzies that I wanted. I think you're drinking them right now.
Yeah, Mitch, what are you drinking first? And then I got a little spiel to do.
All right, so normally I would never drink this, but it was just what was in the fridge. And obviously I'm from Milwaukee, and everyone from Milwaukee is gonna hate this, but I'm not a huge Miller Lite fan. But I have a Miller Lite here. This is what was in the fridge. Usually be Busch Light.
Busch is good.
Usually be Busch Light, but I don't have that here. So I got that. I got a couple others here too. I got this other one that I thought was kind of interesting. It's a New Belgium beer, Summer Bliss Tropical Wheat, and this
That
one's
sounds
really
good.
Yeah, this one's really good too. So I got those, and then I got a High Noon. So it's really random stuff in my fridge.
Wow, that's a combination.
What flavor High Noon are we talking?
What's that?
What flavor High Noon are we talking?
We got the pineapple kicking right here. So
That's a fan favorite. Everyone likes the pineapple.
yeah, for sure.
Would you call yourself a beer guy?
I would say I'm a good mix of everything. So it really depends on where I'm at. So right now I'm in Milwaukee, and I've been here since the Bucks won in 6. So go Bucks.
Bucks and 6, baby.
Yeah, hell yeah. And so I'll drink more beer when I'm up here because there's a lot more breweries and all that stuff. And then I've also got a place down in Miami that some of you guys know about. And when I'm down there, it'll be mostly tequila. Surprise, surprise. So I'll do a lot of tequila down there. If I'm going out and about, I'll do vodka mixed drinks. So like the vodka Red Bulls, the vodka tonics, all that fun stuff. But those are usually my go-to options right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, all those sound good, man. I like High Noons. High Noons are my thing, but I'm a seltzer kind of guy. I like the seltzers. Call me a female if you'd like, but I like the seltzers just because I mean they're a little bit lighter, and I also had really bad experiences with tequila when I was younger. But all right, so I got these 4 Vizzies, and they're the new one. They're like these watermelon, and I know Ant had a boner over them when I sent him pictures. Dude. Watermelon, they're hard seltzers. It's like their new kind, and I'm gonna try all 4 of them. I'm gonna try a sip of each, and I'll give you guys kind of my thought on them.
Vizzy are super underrated, I think.
I think they're pretty good.
Nobody ever talking about Vizzy, but they're very good.
Truly are better, but Vizzy's pretty good. So I'm gonna start with this passion fruit one. Yeah, passion fruit watermelon.
You're just shocking all 4 of them, I think.
Yeah, should I chug them all? Okay. 4 out of 10. Pretty good, but not great. This one is kiwi,
dude,
and I don't like kiwi. Yeah, I'm waiting for that mango. The kiwi, I'm probably gonna be biased on. I'm not a kiwi guy. 2. Damn, dude, that one tasted. That one tasted like the green giant piss. Holy
2 out of 10, dude.
2 out of 10 for sure. All right, blueberry. I'm a little more optimistic about blueberry. Blueberry watermelon sounds good. 6.
Nice.
Better than average. And then we got mango, which, if you know me, I kind of have a love affair with mango. So we'll see. 7. They're not better than Truly. I'll say that, Ant.
What Truly though? Like what Truly are your favorite? 'Cause there's like 10 different.
The berry pack is amazing.
Yeah, the berry's the best.
And the lemonades. Those are the 2 that I like.
The lemonades. The problem is like I can only drink a couple because they're kind of sweet. You know what I mean?
I can smash the hell out of those.
Yeah,
the fruit punch I can't drink though, but High Noons are the top, and we talk about it every single week. Yeah. I haven't found someone who doesn't like High Noons yet.
Listen, High Noon, if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, High Noon, where you at? Okay, so we kind of want to get into what we've been trading really quickly here before we get into the meat of the stock talk. So, Mitch, what have you been trading the past few weeks to the past month? I'd say, like, what have you been swinging? What have you been day trading? Any certain sectors? Any certain trades that stick out to you?
So I think I kind of went over it a little bit earlier, but my strategy, and it usually starts in July, but I mean, the last 2 years have been kind of weird because of COVID. July's actually been more of a hotter month, but usually it's more like August historically. So usually I try to keep the game plan from basically July to like mid-September the same, which is like slow and steady with the micro caps, and then pound the large caps a little bit more for swings. So that's basically what I've been doing is the option trades for large caps. And then every once in a great while, I'll get an OTC stock that I think is kind of interesting that I'll play. But I don't think I've really traded any this year yet. It's been I've been basically just focusing on large caps. And that goes same with the day trades. I mean, there'll be a micro cap every once in a great while. but I would say 80-90% of what I trade right now is large caps, and swing trades I'd say 95% are large caps, like the option large caps. So I'm really not even looking at micro caps until probably mid to late September, when things kind of start coming back a little bit. So I mean,
Sweet.
like I was saying, one of the big ones I've been trading is Moderna. So got that, and obviously all the vaccine plays have been kind of hot. The mask plays, that's coming back a little bit. So I've been swinging APT, which is
That's a good one.
usually the top one of the best mask plays. So I'll do that, and then there's a few others that I'll trade here and there for vaccine mask plays, but I try not to marry them, and that's good, especially in an August market. And other than that, I mean, I'm basically just trading the large caps that have some sort of volume coming in, that there's a lot of hype on, because otherwise you're going to get stuck in them, and just like a micro cap, and you'll have to hold them forever.
Yeah.
So
What
that's
about you,
basically my strategy.
Thanks, Mitch.
This might be off topic, but before I get into what I've been trading, Lots to me right now looks extremely good. Lots looks exactly like Wish was before it had a nice little run.
Let me look at
So
Lots.
I've been looking at Lots. I know you put me on Lots a few months ago.
I think the DD is still intact.
And
on
like with how
Lots.
hot the used car market is, I just can't believe the price. I think we're under $4, but it literally
we're at $3.90.
looks identical to how Wish did. Just a complete downtrend before we had a nice pop.
I mean, man, just looking at it right now, it has a 444 million market cap. And let's just check out their last earnings report. Their last earnings report, they had 56 million. So they're going to be hitting right around 220 to 230 million. So that means they're trading 2 times their revenue. And I mean, if you go to Carvana, let me just go there really quickly. Carvana is their market cap is 62 billion, and their last earnings they had 3 billion. So that means that they're sitting right around 12 billion. So they're 4 times, 5 times, right around 5 times their revenue. Granted, they're a better company, but it just shows you that Lots is undervalued.
Yeah, I think that's something to look out for. Keep it on your radar.
I need a round of applause for my math right there, man.
Yeah, that was
I never
very
felt
good.
so on the spot with math. I haven't thought about math in so fucking long.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Proud of myself.
Besides that, I've been trading. I traded FSR this week off that crazy price target, which was ridiculous. AHPI, I scalped a bunch. I had a short swing on NNDM. I played SoFi, run up to earnings, and then that pulled a Wish on earnings.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. I've really been 90% scalps for a while now, for maybe the last month. I'll swing 1 or 2 things. I played Clove, but I'm not holding things for long. I'll take my profit where I can and then get out. I'd rather be 90 to 100% cash than be stuck holding 5-6 swings. So,
Yeah.
I haven't
That's
been
what I
trading
would
a lot.
say. I've been trading. I traded Clove last week. I sold it. I traded APT just like Mitch on those AHPI would run up 30% pre-market, and then I would snag APT when it was at 0% or something like that, and it'd get a 5 or 10% pop out of it. And then I also I shorted Moderna when it was at like 450 because I saw like a head and shoulders on the 30-minute,
We
some type
talked
of thing
about
like
that.
Yeah, I think on the last podcast we did.
With Moose, yeah.
Yeah, and I think this week I'm looking forward to. I want to get some J&J, Johnson & Johnson, because Moderna's had a huge run, Pfizer's in a huge run, and I think J&J is gonna break out pretty heavy here. It's like breaking out of a wedge kind of formation, and it feels like it's gonna follow Pfizer and Moderna, and I don't see why it wouldn't. And I also want to short SESN. I think that's a prime short from the complete response letter because they don't have anything in their pipeline now. And I mean, that's a year or 2 out from any sort of makeup with the FDA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's we talked about Moderna with Moose, and what did it drop? 100 some points, 100 plus points.
Yeah, we talked about how it's been such a good trading vehicle too, just up and down, up down, up down, day to day.
Yeah, it was like, if you look at overextended, that would be the prime candidate for overextended.
Yep.
All right, Mitch, I have a couple questions for you. I like to ask all the guests similar questions. The first question I have is like, how did you get into trading? What's kind of like your origin story? Did you have like a mentor, or how exactly did you get into this?
So I started trading. Well, let me think about this. So I started getting interested in trading. I would say around 2008 during the market crisis, the market crash, and so I was still in middle school or high school, and I was just noticing my parents, and I could see how they were reacting to everything, and they didn't really know anything about stocks or anything like that. So my that was kind of my motivation. My motivation was to be the one that knows about stocks, that can help them, that can help the family to basically have it so that if there is another crash, we're confident that they have their retirement, we have our retirement, whatever it might be, and that everything's all good. And so that was a while ago. That was like 12, 13 years ago or something like that. And it took me probably 6, 7 plus years to actually be profitable after that. And it's partly the maturity, because I was early 20s, and I'm late 20s now. Patience is probably one of the big things. And I'm sure a few other things, but I'd say patience is probably the number one thing that any of these guys that are new should really focus on to become a better trader. But I didn't really have any mentors, and when I started making money is really when I started trying to find a mentor, learn from mentors, and all of that. And I would say I don't have a specific mentor. I think it was really just a mix of a bunch of people from the Discords and the Twitters and all of that. Mm-hmm. That kind of made me realize that I need to have my own strategy to be successful. And that's kind of how everything that you eventually learn as a day trader. But I kind of, in a way, kind of knew some of that stuff that are kind of like the I don't know, the stuff that people don't really know about, just because it's like a weird accounting language and taxes help a lot too with that. But anyways, I went to that, and then I had an accounting job for a while, and then I eventually I quit that to do this full time, because I was making way more trading than accounting. And accounting, I mean, it's pretty tedious. It's doing the same thing all the time. So, I mean, you can only do that so long. You got to be like a special kind of person to do that. So, I had to get out of that and be able to be actually doing whatever I want to do.
I
think
go ahead.
Not to cut you off, but I think we ought to have Mitch on again for that 10Q and all those balance sheets filing, because next season we're going to dive deeper into some stuff. And we do want to have like a full episode based on just filing. So we might have to call you up then and see if you're willing to talk about that, because I can't think of a better guy than a previous accountant to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. And taxes.
Exactly. We would love to hear your thoughts on that when we get into because aren't we doing like intermediate trader next season, Ant?
Yeah, we're going to split the seasons up. Like, this is beginner trader, so we don't want to get into too complex things here. Reading filings is difficult for everyone, so that'll probably be next season.
That'll be awesome, though. I'm excited getting into those little shit.
Something to touch on that Mitch said quick before I ask another question is, he said it took him around 6 to 7 years to be profitable. Like, whoever's listening to this, you need to comprehend what he's saying. 6 to 7 years to be profitable. You're not going to be profitable in the first 3 to 4 months, a year. Like this takes time. I know we say it all the time, but like, don't quit your job after 4 months because you think you're going to trade full time, and then you're playing with money you can't afford to lose. And then, I mean, grind your ass off, work a job, trade. When you think you can do it full time after a year or two, go for it. But this isn't what Twitter makes it out to be. This takes time and years to become profitable. So I think that's a great thing. I don't know, Teddy, if you want to add anything to that, but
I mean, yeah, I traded for 2.5 years while working in a warehouse before I was even able to think about quitting my warehouse job.
Yeah.
And then when I quit my warehouse job, things were still tight for a little while because I'm just a tight ass when it comes to taking money out of my account. So things were tight a little bit after that. And then, like, I don't know how long, 6 months after that, things finally took off, but it took a long time. It took years of actually like paper trading for a while and then jumping into the real market and then losing money and then losing more money and then hitting the even point 2 years in. I'm thinking like it's taken me 2 years. Like if I'm only going to gain this much every year, why would I keep going? And blah, blah, blah. All those thoughts swirl. And then you get profitable and then it's exponential. Things you're learning just grows and you exponentially grow as a trader.
Yeah, like if you're playing with rent money, trying to double your rent money so you can pay rent for next month, this is not for you. You have like work your ass off to fund your trading. When you have experience and you get good at it, then try to do this as a career. But I don't know. I say it all the time. It takes time and years to become profitable. So I don't know. I think that's a really important thing that Mitch mentioned. It took him a while, but look how successful he is now. Like this takes time.
Exactly.
Mitch, was there like a specific turning point that you can remember where you're like, oh damn, like I can actually do this full time? Like, do you remember anything specific?
I think it's not like a number or anything like that. I think it's a mindset thing, and I think once you get to the point where your mindset is at a certain spot, so basically you have the confidence that what you're doing is the right thing, and then your buys and sells are the right deal, then I think that's really when things start to turn, and that right there. The psychological aspect of everything is really the hardest part, I think, because everyone learns the charting and indicators and all that fun stuff and the fundamentals, but you don't really learn about the psychological stuff until you actually really get really serious and tell yourself that you really want to do this, and and then you're like, why am I not being profitable? And a lot of times it's because their mindset. So if you have the right mindset, basically doing the same thing every day that works, having the right sticking with the right setups that work for you, and that setup might not work for your best friend, so it might be completely different. And trying to not do as many setups that you're not good at trading. So I really went down. My big thing was I would export all my trades every single day, and I would go back and be like, okay, I bought it this time. How was I feeling? Why did I buy it here? And then what did I sell it at? How much profit or loss did I make? And you really write notes, and then after a while, you get to the point where you have a bunch of data, and you're like, okay, this setup is really good, so I'm going to stick with this setup. And this setup is really bad, so I'm going to try to not do that. Eventually, it takes a really long time, but eventually you get to the point where you're only doing the setups that you want to do. There's times that I still do setups that are shit for me, but it's a lot less than, say, 2 or 3 years ago. So it's all about just improving your trading and holding yourself accountable, because you're the only one that matters. It doesn't matter what you post on Twitter. It's really what you make or what you lose that matters, and that's what these traders should really understand. It's not about showing that you made enough to buy a Lambo in the day. It's all about what what your level is and what you can do to grow yourself every single day.
Yeah, I think too.
Exactly.
It's important. Like, you should set goals for yourself. Break it down to, oh, I want to hit $1,000 profit. I want to build my account to $1,000. I want to set goals at $5,000, $10,000, 25. Like mapping out your goals and achieving small goals snowballs into bigger things. You shouldn't start out and be like, oh, I want to hit 25K right away. It just, you start small. Like there's people that are trading and like 10K, like 10 grand is nothing to them. It's all perspective. You gotta set smaller goals to see the bigger picture. I think that's really important.
I got something to say on that too, to add to what you said, is reward yourself at those milestones as well. That's something that people really don't realize. The power of, what is it? It's positive reinforcement. The power of positive reinforcement is not only when you're raising children or if you're a teacher in a psychology class. You can do it for yourself. So if you have a $100 account and you want to get it to $200, say if I get it to $200, I'm going to do something small. I'm going to go buy myself like some dessert that I don't eat very often that is going to tell myself, wow, I got there. And then if I get to $500, I'm going to take 50 of that out and buy something crazy that I've wanted for $50. And also on the larger scale, like I bought a nice watch when I hit a certain milestone. Then I got to upgrade my apartment at the next milestone. And then my next milestone is I want to buy a new car. Like all these things are just milestones that I'm making myself reach before I get to buy what I want. So buy what you want when you hit these milestones. And I feel like it helps me feel motivated on certain days when I'm not feeling motivated. It helps me kind of remember why I'm doing things. And also just makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, okay, I did this for a reason. I have something to show for it. And I rewarded myself. And rewarding yourself is incredibly important when this is your career.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like, write it down on sticky notes so you see it at your setup every single day. Like I said, this is a grind and it takes time. And Mitch talked about it, it doesn't just happen overnight. So, the last question I had is, Mitch, is there a specific thing you would tell yourself as like a newer trader, or like a tip for beginner traders that you think is like super important?
I think it's really hard to learn. And kind of, I think like kind of like what I was saying earlier, I think the psychological thing is one of the biggest things. But as a new trader, like if you're just starting out, obviously you got to learn the indicators, you got to learn the charting and the fundamentals, all that fun stuff. And after you know the basics of that, I would really start to learn more of the psychological stuff, like a double top. Like, why is it a double top? It's because there's so many shorts on it, so many longs on it. Double bottom, same thing. And if it breaks out and it's this stock, it'll do this. And every stock has its own personality. They have their own market makers, so they're all completely different. They're humans just like us. So a stock's basically, it runs the exact same as that. So I mean, if we're having a bad day, and that market maker might be having a bad day too, so it might not act the same as if it's having like a good day or something like that. But for the most part, it's that same market maker every single day on that same stock. So really knowing like what other people are thinking and like the psychological part of that, I think is one of the biggest things that I never really see on Twitter, that I think I should probably write up something on Twitter about that, because I think it's really, really important to know what people are thinking about a stock. Because otherwise, for example, the 200 SMA on the daily chart, which is widely used all the time, it means nothing. It's just a random line, but people use it all the time because everyone uses it, or like VWAP or something like that.
Yeah.
So like little things like that, I think are really important to grasp. Especially as a new trader, starting to learn that as you get more and more experience, I think is really, really important to do.
Yeah, I want to expand on that for a quick second here. Something, just an example I can kind of throw out is, say you're day trading a stock and it has a high of $5. on the day. It's up 20%, 30%. Some news came out, blah, 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 whatever you want to frame it as. Its high of day is $5, and say it gets stuffed at $4.95 on the push. What you got to be thinking about is what people are thinking and why it got stuffed. It probably got stuffed because people are thinking it probably is not worth more than $5. And the news was good, but it wasn't great enough for it to, they think that's high. All you need to know is they think that that's a high price for that stock at the moment. And so it got stuffed by enough sellers. The same thing can be said kind of for a double bottom. A double bottom could be on a daily chart, and you can kind of attribute that to people thinking the stock is getting cheap and more buyers coming in rather than sellers. And so the stock is cheap, bam, it bounces. The stock comes back down, it's cheap again, it bounces. So you can kind of frame things a little bit differently in your mind if you're a newer trader, rather than just saying, I see the chart look as a double bottom. There are two bounces there. You can say, okay, so it was, people thought it was cheap at that $5 range, whatever range it is where it double bottomed out. And then people thought it was too expensive when it was running towards $5. So those are levels that I can remember. If I'm day trading something, that $5 level is something I can remember. It got stuffed there twice. It might get stuffed there again because majority of the population thinks it doesn't belong above $5. And for that double bottom, majority of the population doesn't think it belongs below that, whatever that bottom is. So that's just a beginner kind of psychological side of what things do and why they do it. But there's a ton of them. There are absolute crap ton. Certain candle formations are certain emotions on stocks. If people are mixed, you can read about this and see stuff on YouTube about it, where certain candle formations on a 5-minute shows mixed emotions from traders on it. And some of them show overbought emotions from traders, but we can get into that again later. But yeah, that's just one example or two examples of the psychology that Mitch is talking about, which I think is greatly important too. And I would love to put some stuff out on Twitter about it too.
Yeah, it's I actually put a lesson out last week about like market psychology and stuff like that. Yeah, it's super important, and not enough people talk about it, and it can like make or break your trading. So I think that's super important.
Mitch, I got two questions for you before we hop into the stock talk big section. First one is, what are your go-to pizzas? Like what if you're ordering pizza?
So I'm a pretty plain eater in general, and I'll tend to stick with the normal like pepperoni or whatever, something very plain like that. Sometimes
a classic. That's a classic.
Yeah, you can't beat that. I mean, every once in a while I'll put some other stuff on, some peppers or whatever it might be, but I tend to I'm a pretty plain guy, and I try to stick with what I like, and pepperoni is usually the go-to for me at least.
I can respect that. Ant, what are we thinking? What kind of pizza you like?
Wait, hold on a minute. You posted the other day some pizza with like eggs on it, didn't you?
Shut up.
Dude.
No.
That is
no. Breakfast
that is
pizza.
disgusting.
Dude, you don't okay. Breakfast pizza, we've talked about this. I think we get into an argument on this like every single podcast. Breakfast pizza is divine. It came down from the heavens, and especially from the gas station I get it at.
Wait. What breakfast pizza is what? Like it's regular pizza with sauce?
So it's like cheese sauce. So it's like cheesy gravy sauce on it. And then they put eggs, sausage, and you can get like peppers or mushrooms on it if you want, and then cheese.
Dude,
it's a trashy Iowa thing, but it's amazing.
It sounds like you should go to jail to like just think about like ordering that. Like what a horrible thing to order. Eggs on pizza.
I'm bringing it to you. Told you.
My thing with pizzas, I have a lot of good pizza places by me. I'm in Eastern Pennsylvania, so there's like a lot of Italians. You got to get it well done, and you got to get extra sauce. I like pepperoni and stuff, but I don't ever get that. There's a place by me they have a really good like homemade sauce, but you got to get it well done because it's got to be crispy. Like that's my thing. Well done, extra sauce. That's what I like.
Crispy's good. Crispy is good. I like thin crust more than I like deep dish crust or anything. But I don't know if I have the ability to speak on pizza because I get so much crap about it on Twitter. But what did I have last week? I think I posted this one too. It was from, I literally went to the best pizza place. It's made from some Italian dude. I mean, I went to the best pizza place, and I still got gas station question mark on like 20 comments beneath it. But it was Alfredo sauce, and then I think like steak and mushrooms, and it was apparently his specialty. Pretty good. But last night at the wedding, when I was feeling myself, I think they had like, I don't remember what they were, like Tom Collins or something was their drink of the night. I had a few too many of those, and they brought over pizza with only jalapenos and cheese on it. And I thought it was sausage. And then my mouth started to hurt midway through. And they got extra jalapenos. So it wasn't just jalapenos. They got jalapenos plus extra jalapenos. And it was good, but it was not what I was expecting. And it was quite a shift in my night. And then my stomach hurt for like 4 hours.
There's a pizza place by me that actually does, it's so weird. They do American cheese. So sauce, American cheese. It sounds gross, but it's actually pretty good.
American cheese, like the Kraft slices.
No, it's like I think they make their own homemade American cheese or whatever. But
American cheese is good though.
It's actually good. It's so weird though, because that's like the most uncommon thing to use. But
all I can imagine is like a Velveeta block on top of pizza sauce right now.
True.
That's what I got in my mind.
True.
All right, Mitch. So this is the part that our viewers skip forward to, the stock talk. So the first thing I kind of want to get into is your overall swing trading strategy. So you're a swing trader at heart, and you have criteria and you have favorite setups that you have. So just kind of throw those out here. What's the criteria you look for if you see a stock? What are you jumping to? Do you have certain stock chart indicators? Do you have certain just fundamental indicators that you look at? What kind of trips you on a stock and lets you say, yes, I like it, or no, I don't like it?
So I have a decent amount of parameters that I use. One of them basically being what time of the year it is. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, January versus August. It might be the exact same setup, but I might not take it because I'm way more aggressive in January versus August. So that's one thing right there. Another one is catalyst. So if they have any sort of catalyst coming out, I might, even if it's not, maybe it's an A setup versus an A plus setup, but it's a good catalyst. I might take that over the A plus setup that does not have a catalyst. So that's mostly for like biotechs, I would say. So that's probably more in like the early part of the year. That's when a lot of the biotechs do their thing. But so my charts that I look at, I have a 1 minute and a daily chart. That's basically all I use. And every once in a while, if there's a high a day on the 1 minute, I'll go to 5, 15, 30 minute, and all that. But I really focus on the daily and the 1 minute chart. On the daily chart, I have, as a lot of my followers know from my charts that I post, I'll use the 20, the 50, and the 200 SMA. And that's basically all I use. And what I've found with a lot of these microcap stocks, these penny stocks, is that right when so one setup I like is right when it's around the 20 SMA, and the stocks basically, at that point, most of these penny stocks are around their 52-week low. And a lot of times right when they close a couple days above the 20 SMA, start curling, doing all that fun stuff, they'll start popping out of nowhere. And that's the nice part about these penny stocks, is they don't necessarily need a catalyst. So sometimes they'll just pop out of nowhere. But what I really like is if it's we call them sympathy plays. So one that I used to love was when Bitcoin ran, Mara would go. And obviously Mara's not a penny stock anymore, but back in the day it was like 30, 40 cents. So I used to slap a bunch of that, and then 5 minutes later, boom, it would go. And so that's more of a day trading strategy, I guess you could say. But for swing trades, the 20 SMA is a really good spot for what I've noticed. For a lot of these companies like to put some sort of PR out around then. And obviously you got to watch if they have earnings and offerings and all that fun stuff too. But a lot of times around those levels is a really good spot to start adding for a swing. But the other thing is you got to watch what stock it is, because after a while, you know the personality of that stock. And if it's one that is unfavorable for your strategy, for example, one that I will never trade and you'll probably never see me tweet about, INPX. I hate that stock. I've never made money on it. I probably never will, never trade it again. So that one right there, it might be on the 20 SMA, and it might not do anything. It might have an offering or something like that, but it fucks me every time I trade that one.
I hear you. RMO for me.
Yeah, but other ones, and I can't really think of any offhand, but really just the right ones. If you have the right ones and they're at that right level, those are the ones that'll really get my attention more, because there's millions of stocks out there, including OTC. So if you stick with the ones that and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about tracking your trades and knowing what you did right and what you did wrong. Another thing you can do is what you did right, also mark down what ticker it was, so that you know for future reference, you was this setup with this ticker, and you'll begin to trade that ticker more if you do your studying and research. And then that's kind of how I found out that I never make money with INPX. Otherwise, I would have never known. Just from studying and writing down everything that comes to me in that day. So I think the 20 SMA is one thing, and then another one, which is more common, I think, is the flags and the pennants and all that. And what I've noticed with these penny stocks is around the 50 SMA is a really good spot for those. And if they've been running for a little bit, sometimes the 20 SMA will come up to that point as well. But a lot of times it's close to the 50 SMA, if not even the 200 SMA. But with these penny stocks, most of the time you'll be trading them. You'll look at their charts. 95% of them will be near their 52-week low. So you're going to see the 20 SMA come down first, just because it's a lot faster mover than, say, the 200 and the 50. So you'll see that. And then from there, you can really use the 20 SMA as a buy. And then I tend to use the 50 SMA to start selling and see if it continues to go. If it's January, I might sell 10, 20%. If it's August, I might sell 100%. So it really just depends on the time of the year and really what kind of market we are in and what stock it is and where it's at on the chart. So, I mean, there's a few different factors that I use to, and those are basically the only two that I'll look at.
That's golden.
I don't really like the knife catches or the ones that are ripping. Like, for example, I was saying I was trading Moderna this week. That's one that's been going up like crazy, and that's one I would never swing trade. It'd be too risky for my strategy. So what I do with those is those are the ones I would scalp or day trade, and those are usually the really good ones for scalping and day trade when they're at their 52-week high, and there's a lot of volume on them, and some people will swing them, but those for me are too high of a risk, even if it's a large cap. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of basically my strategy. Try to keep it really simple, and you got to keep it really simple on yourself. A lot of these guys, and I know when I started, I had like 1 million indicators on my charts, and that's not helpful for anyone. You want to make it simple for yourself, and so I use the 20, the 50, the 200, and then I have volume is a really big deal, and then I have RSI, and then obviously the MACD. So I keep basically the simple ones that everyone uses, and it goes back to the psychological thing that I was talking about too. So it's all really it's a mental game. It's really really what it is.
I got a few things to say about that too. I think from all of the kind of stock talk we've had, I think you just might have put out the best segment that we've ever had on this show, because that 20 SMA to 50 SMA rings an absolute bell, because that's something that I do all the time. I trade when it curls near the 20 SMA, and then if it gets near the 50 SMA, I sell it, because it's one of those things where the momentum catches up. The momentum turns it, and then the 20 SMA will reverse and start moving it, hiking its way back up towards the 50. And then when the stock gets near the 50, you kind of sell, because 50 is something that people tend to watch a lot. But what you said there about the psychological parts of all those indicators, that's why they're the strongest. Everyone needs to kind of realize that's why they're the strongest, is because everyone uses them. So it's kind of like the whole gang gets their back behind. If something's having a perfect setup with the MACD finally curling to green, and the 20 SMA is about to cross the 50 SMA type of thing, which is bullish as well, if people didn't know, then the whole gang is going to get their back behind that. And by the whole gang, I mean retail and people who are looking on their charts, even probably some institutional people who are looking to buy on perfect setups. We're all going to get onto that because everyone uses those indicators. So that's why they're so strong, is because so many eyes are on them and so many people are using them to make their trades. But I think that 20 SMA setup is probably the most simple, easy way for our beginners to look at something. They can look at that 20 SMA, and then if it's near the 20 SMA, like you said, there's a curl that happens, and that curl is what you need to be buying on. That curl is the buy target. If it gets above and it has to go above to curl, that's perfect. If it's below and then it curls and then it makes its way up to it, that's a perfect buy point. So I think that's a great point and a great strategy that you just pointed out. One thing I'll add to that strategy is, like I said earlier, the 20 SMA crossing the 50 SMA is also another time where things can rip for a few days. So that's one of those moments where it's a momentum play, where it's likely to just have momentum carry over for a few more days. So when that 20 SMA reaches its way to the 50, and this is also something you can track with like he was saying, where you can track if the setup ends up working. I have a number of stocks, a list that tells me which stocks this has followed through on and which ones it hasn't, so that I can know, okay, if I see that 20 SMA crossing the 50 SMA, I know it's not going to work, so I need to halt or push the brakes here. But some of them, it does work every single time. And some of them I have not had any pushback or any type of, some of them, they run like 20% after that. So the 20 SMA crossing above the 50 SMA, if you can get increasing volume along with that, that's perfect. But that's one of those things where it's probably going to have 3 or 4 green candles on the daily after that happens. So that's just something I'll add on to there. But that was a great segment. And I think if you guys watch that segment 2 or 3 times and take notes on what Mitch said, you're going to find some of the best info you've found on probably YouTube or wherever you're listening to this. That was absolutely great. And another thing was him telling you to list out what the tickers have done that you've traded. That's something that is absolutely crucial as well. I know that certain stocks, like, I don't know, I don't have an example off the top of my head. If I were to flip through my notebook, I would, but I know certain stocks knife near new high of day very, very often, like AHPI. When it has a high of day and then it bounces down and then it's making another run towards that, it likes to just drop. It likes to just knife. That's something that I noticed probably 2 weeks ago when it was moving. And then I implemented that on a short 3 times this week. And then also as well, there's other stocks like large caps will act certain ways. Penn, when it reverses, it reverses. Tesla, if it has a dip, it gets bought up most times. There's just things there's setups that work. Certain setups, like a 50 SMA crossing a 200 SMA, a golden cross is what that's called, might work on certain stocks. And then some stocks it might not work at all. And you have to list those down, like Mitch said. That is something that's crucial that we haven't talked about on this yet, is listing what setups work on certain stocks, because the market makers are the same, most likely, and they're probably going to do the same exact thing when the chart gets near a certain point, or when the company is at a certain time of year. Just like he said, January, some stocks, their market makers push them because they know they have an offering that needs to get pushed out by March or something like that. Or they push them because they know that they want the stock to be up because insiders are going to be selling soon, that kind of thing, whatever it is. They act the same. So write it down, and the 20 SMA on this one crossing over the 50, it's worked 3 times in a row. It's probably going to work a 4th time in a row, or it didn't work 3 times in a row, so I can short it here, or whatever you're going to use it for. That's some golden knowledge right there. You got anything, Ant?
No, I think you guys touched on that perfectly. Like Teddy said, like, take notes, rewatch this a few times. Mitch's strategy might not work for you, but try it out. But yeah, you got to watch this multiple times, take notes of what he's doing, and try it out. You don't even have to play the stocks. Watch a couple stocks, and and see if they play out. And then that's something you can implement into your own strategy. So I think those are all great points that Mitch and Teddy both brought up.
Yeah. I think Ant's gonna hop us into bullish versus bullshit now. One of my favorite segments.
Yeah. So we have a super popular one to talk about. Mitch, do you have any thoughts on Dogecoin, bullish or bullshit on that?
So I actually rebought some Dogecoin a week or two ago, and long term, I could not really tell you, but what I know is people like even Mark Cuban now, like obviously Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, other celebrities are in it, and I mean, it's kind of like a furu kind of getting into something where they can actually run the stock, a coin, quite a bit. So for me, I mean, in crypto is different than stocks, obviously, but every 15-20%, something like that, I'll scale a little bit out, and then on dips, I'll always have a little tiny Dogecoin position just in case something weird happens, like last time where Elon goes on SNL or whatever it might be. So overall, I would say I'm bullish on it. The actual coin itself, I don't really have an opinion on. But I mean, I would say overall, I think I'm bullish on it. Just because, I mean, it's Dogecoin and there's so many people in it. It is heavy, kind of like some of these stocks, but I think coins are a little bit different where they can be quote unquote pumped a little bit easier. So I think Dogecoin has that going for them. So I do think it might go back to 40, 50 plus cents. I don't know about 75 cents again, but I did buy some at like 19, 20 cents like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I have already scaled a little bit at like, it was like 27 or 28 cents. I scaled a little bit, but I still have some just in case it continues to go up. It's kind of just like something fun to mess around with and play with.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree. I think long term, I couldn't answer more than half a question about Doge. I couldn't answer one. I do not know the first thing about it other than Elon Musk and a lot of celebrities push it. And that's enough for me to think that short term, it's probably going to run. Just like any penny stock or any small cap, any even mid cap type of thing, large cap probably too. Elon pushes Tesla like it's nobody's business. So I think those celebrities are all I need to know. I think bullish, short term, long term. I do not have an educated opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was saying, what I've noticed with these coins is even if there's heavy volume and a lot of big names pumping this, it still goes up compared to these penny stocks where sometimes, say, a fund might come in and short us or something like that, or whatever it might be. These coins, they just like buy it with them, and like with Mark Cuban or whoever it might be, and it just keeps going, it keeps going for days on end. And I mean, the crypto market's so different than stocks, and it's really like a stock market in like 1930 or something like that, like right after like the crisis. Like, it was just like completely different. There's not really that many regulations. You can short, but no one really shorts, especially a meme coin like Dogecoin, because it just, you never know. You could wake up and it could be $1, and
yeah,
it's ridiculous. I've seen 10,000% return. It's like OTC basically.
Yeah, you could wake up and Kim Jong-un could put his entire fortune in a Dogecoin, and they could be at fucking $100 each, and we're all millionaires. You know, like something absolutely nuts could happen. Who knows?
Right, and that's the thing. Everyone in the world can buy Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these coins too. So it's different than the stock market where only people with American ability to buy stocks can buy stocks. You know, it's literally everyone, and you don't know who it is. It could be, like you said, Kim Jong-un or whoever.
I think part of the appeal to that, something like Doge and like a lot of these other altcoins, is like the price. Like people look at it and like, oh, this is super cheap, I can buy a lot of it. Like especially new people that, oh, they think they're gonna make thousands of like a quick $1,000 or something. They see, oh, this is super cheap, I can buy a shit ton of this. And I think that adds to like the volatility and so many people wanting to trade crypto. But the funny thing about Doge is I actually looked at this chart like a month ago, I think. It had that crazy run to like 75 cents, and then it was just downtrending ever since. But we had on the 22nd of June, we had what I'd like to call a high conviction pivot point where we started an uptrend followed by a consecutive green candle the day before. And if you look at the chart, that was about 16 cents, and then that's where our bounce was that started this latest run to, I think we're at like 35 cents now. But it bounced off that exact level. So
Call that a boner in my land.
True. But yeah, Doge long term, I couldn't, like Teddy and Mitch said, I couldn't tell you what this will be. But when you have so many people behind it, and celebrities and Elon Musk and all these people, I think this is something that, yeah, when it's cheap, throw a little bit of money into it if you can afford it, because it always seems to kind of bounce back. But those are my thoughts on Doge. All right, so the second thing I wanted to talk about is Clove following their earnings report. Mitch, do you have any thoughts on Clove? Have you traded it at all? Did you see what their ER was?
So I don't have a lot of opinion on Clove, to be honest. It was it's obviously a SPAC or post-SPAC, and the chart's pretty decent. I'm looking at it right now, and it's hovering right around that 20 SMA. And it's a very heavily shorted stock. So once it gets closer to $10, it tends to come back down to the $8 mark. So chart wise, and that's what I try to gauge a lot of what I do, not so much the earnings or the fundamentals. Chart wise, it's coming down to the point where I would be like, okay, maybe I'll buy some $10 calls for mid-September or even late August or something like that, and just hold on to those and swing those. And once it pops again, if it does pop again over $9, then I would take profits and just do something like that. But other than that, I don't have it long term. I'm just kind of gauging based on the chart, and I don't really know a whole lot about the numbers. I know a lot of people are very bullish on it long term.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's probably a pretty decent one. But again, these SPAC ones, you never really know for sure after the merger happens what is really going to happen. We've seen them all over the place. So the company itself, I'm not 100% sure, but the stock is definitely one that you could scalp. And there could be, it could also be one. It could be the next AMC or GameStop too, because it's heavily shorted. So we could have another huge run with these meme stocks. So if that's the case, it could go $20-$30 again or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
For me, go ahead, Ant.
Just to throw something out there, I know their revenue was up 140-150%. So I think that's pretty much the reason for that boost we saw. But yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I have mixed feelings on Clove. I really love Clove as in the numbers, and I really liked it this week. And I traded, I think I had an average somewhere in the high $7, and I swung it all the way to $9, I think. But in this market, I took profit right then and there. But the numbers were really, really good. They're indicating, I think, somewhere around 1.5 billion in revenue this year, which puts them at a 2.0 market cap to revenue ratio, which I think is pretty low. I think they ought to be $10 probably minimum. I think that would probably put them at still undervalued fundamentally, but also the market we're in, and also the fact that it's a SPAC, and a lot of old time investors have negative opinions on SPAC, and the fact that so much retail is in it makes me think $10 could be a good place for it to sit. And it might not move much well from there. But then also we saw AMC and GameStop, which like Mitch said, some crazy shit happened there with retail pushing it. So we could see it, but I think $10 is probably where we sit. I think that's probably fair. It might take the August market might not be the time for it to go to that $10. We could see it happen after September. But for me, Right now, it's bullish. Long term, I'm bullish as well because those numbers are fantastic. So I'm going full bullish on it, but I don't think it's bullish to the point that everyone thinks it is. I don't know if we're going to see the $15 that everyone thinks it belongs at, and I don't know if we'll see the 20 close after that, unless it squeezes. Which, I mean, you can't really predict a squeeze. You can say a stock has a chance of a squeeze or a higher chance of a squeeze, but it's impossible to predict it. So I'm going to say bullish on both, but it's not overly bullish.
I'm gonna kind of play both sides here. Looking at the chart, I think an important level to look at is the $7.60 range. I think if $8 doesn't hold, that's what I personally am looking at, where I would start to scale in. Like I said though, if $8 doesn't hold, which is a psych level, I would look at around $7.50, $7.60. So chart wise, like I'm bullish if we get to that level. The reason I wouldn't be so bullish is because one, this is super overcrowded. This is a big Twitter stock. So you got to think there's a lot of people that are in this and that are in this at a higher average than we're currently sitting at. But Teddy actually put me on this a few weeks ago. This is a big Wall Street bet stock. So and it's heavily shorted, so that's another reason I would be bullish on it. But you just got to take these factors into consideration. Chart looks good, but at the same time, it's very overcrowded. But Wall Street bets, it's highly shorted. So I think this is one I personally will look for under $8, and that's probably where I'd start to scale in again. And the other ones I want to talk about quick were, do you guys have any thoughts on like Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson with these booster shots coming out? I know COVID's heating up again. We talked about Moderna last week, and we saw a big drop on that. But do you guys have any thoughts on these big names?
So Pfizer, I try not to do a whole lot with, because that's one that historically, other than I would say probably, let me look at the chart right now. Other than the last couple of weeks, it really doesn't do a whole lot. And obviously, I say that now, but it's even the huge run up it's had. It's only been a $20 run up, which I guess that is
It's heavy as hell.
a decent percentage, but it's one that I think it stays in a range, and it kind of just when it goes, it doesn't really go a whole lot. When it goes down, it doesn't go down a whole lot. And Johnson & Johnson, I think it's similar. This is one I hold long term from probably 5-6 years ago or something like that. And I haven't really even paid a whole lot of attention to this one, but I would say out of this one versus Pfizer, I'd probably rather play Johnson & Johnson, just judging by the chart. It looks like it's just kind of breaking out of the 52-week high. And I think there's a lot of room for it to possibly get towards, it's over 175. It could possibly get over 200, which it's another slow mover. It could get to 200. And that's all compared to Moderna, which, Moderna's been ridiculous the last, basically since its IPO a couple years ago. It was under $100 at this point last year. It was, like 60 or $70, something like that. And it hit $500. So that's one that I will play and I will scalp. I don't hold it long term, but I'll play it and I'll scalp it. And I think that's kind of the theme with a lot of these vaccine plays. It's hard to, I guess, play them and hold on to them, because a lot of them, they'll have some sort of run up, and then they'll just like have a huge drop. And with Moderna, it's been going up and it keeps going up, and it's at a crazy level right now. So I don't know if it's gonna go a whole lot higher than what it's at right now. But I would not be surprised if it does continue. It's like a Tesla too, it just keeps going. People keep buying the dip on that one, so it could do anything. And that one, and that's kind of why I just keep scalping or day trading that one, because I don't want to have the risk of having something up however much percent it is since last year. I'll scalp it, and that's about it.
Yeah. For me, Moderna, I think I'll say bullshit on. I think it's a great trading vehicle. I mean, I've been scalping and shorting it over and over and over. It's perfect, just like Mitch is saying, perfect scalper, perfect trading vehicle. But I don't think it belongs up here. I said that last week too. I said we see 450 and it consolidates, and then we see 400, and then that happened. So 1-0 here. I'm going for 2-0. I think we see it hit like 420 again, and then I think we go right back beneath 400, and I think we downtrend a little bit longer to that, maybe to 370, maybe 350. I don't know, somewhere in that range. But I think we see a pop and then a drop again because it moves so much, just like you were saying. Pfizer, I am bullish for the short term, the next 2 weeks, just because Pfizer takes so damn long to make any decisions on what way to move. Dude, that stock I played for like what time? When was that? Back when COVID hit, I played it for like 3 weeks and it moved. Like, I think I got like the highest percentage I could get was like plus 2% out of the entire thing. And it just stayed in the same zone over and over and over, like midway through, like probably like 6 months after COVID hit. But anyway, Pfizer, I think it has momentum right now. I think the momentum carries over. We see $50, maybe $52, maybe $55. But then I think it's going to long term, I think it returns downwards to where it belongs in the low 40s. And then Johnson and Johnson, I think, has the most potential here. I'm bullish on it short term and long term. Long term, I just like the company as a whole. I think it's a pretty good company. And short term, just like Mitch was saying, it's actually on my watch list. I think I'll probably take a swing in it here soon. It's just breaking out, and it has the room that Moderna and Pfizer they have ran. I think it has the room to do a similar type of run because Pfizer's float is higher than Johnson and Johnson. So I think Johnson and Johnson can move and can get on its horse. We just need it to get chosen by a country, because I think that's what happened with Pfizer and Moderna. They got chosen by a company to buy a certain amount of doses of the vaccine or blah, 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 the booster. Everyone's going to get it once a year, that kind of thing. Whatever's happening with Moderna and Pfizer, I think Johnson and Johnson needs to just come out with some type of news or something, which I think they will, because I mean, theirs is the dose that's only one dose instead of two, which is pretty desirable for a lot of people. So I think that Johnson and Johnson probably has the best chance to break out here within the next few weeks to a month.
Yeah, I don't want to add a whole lot to what you guys mentioned. I think short term for me personally, with these boosters, I'm bullish like short term with all these headed into the fall, but long term, these need a healthy pullback. I think besides Johnson and Johnson, Moderna specifically, the range I'd be looking at is like 375. If that doesn't hold, I'd be looking at like 340. I think we saw this after that big drop that we talked about. It bounced right off our demand zone around like $376. But yeah, short term I'm bullish. Long term, I'm calling bullshit. I think these need to come back a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so Mitch, we're at the fun part of the episode. The best part, as some of our guests say, and the worst part, as some of our other guests say. So, lifestyle. So I see you have a pretty fucking dope car, and I want to hear about it.
So first of all, my avatar is the green Lambo, and I actually do not have a green Lambo. So that's one thing right there. I'll go to Vegas and I'll rent it sometimes, but the thing is, I was about to buy one a couple of years ago, and it did not seem like it was a good investment for me to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Yeah, so I every once in a while I'll rent one out that's very similar, and I'll be like, yeah, this is kind of cool, but it's not like the gas mileage, all that fun stuff is not. It's the maintenance, all that. It did not really work out.
How fast does that motherfucker go when you rent it out? Have you ever like
200 plus for sure? 0 to 60 is insane. But what I'm driving now is in Miami. I have a Mercedes-Benz S63 AMG, and it's a convertible 4-seater in red interior, and it's white. It's very nice.
That's sweet.
600 horsepower. It's very smooth. It drives very nice. I've never had a Mercedes Benz before, and I will say I love it. I fucking love it. I mean, the gas mileage on that is really shitty too. It's like 12 miles a gallon or 10 to 12 miles a gallon, whatever it might be, compared to the Lambo. But it's a lot cheaper, and it's more. I can drive it more every day versus the Lambo, which is like you got to watch potholes, all that fun stuff because it's so low to the ground.
Yeah.
So with that one, I've had that for a little bit now, and it's crazy. We mentioned lots earlier with like used cars. Used cars are not going down in value at all. So it's almost like I've like made money since I've bought my car, which is crazy. It's kind of ridiculous. It's just the used car market is so insane right now. So maybe in a couple of years, right now I've got a condo. So once I get a house, maybe I'll get the Lambo just so I can like mess around with it or whatever and have more
Lambo.
room.
You got to match that profile pic.
Right. I know. And I've had that profile pic for a while too. And I forgot who it was that told me to put that. And because I didn't know what to put. And here's another funny story. So my name, it used to be something really stupid. I changed it to Mitch Picks a couple of years ago, and it was actually Ultra that recommended it. So I'm like, okay, it's interesting, but it's better than I forgot what it was, just a normal Twitter name. So
one of those like random generated ones or something.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So so that's kind of an interesting story. But no, I do not have the green Lambo, and maybe someday. I don't have any desire at the moment though to buy it. For the time being, if I want that kind of thrill, I can take my car out and go about the same speed. I can go 175, 200 in my car because it's got 600 horsepower, so it can really jet. But
that's sweet.
But yeah, I mean, down in Miami, I can really rent any car I want, so it's just kind of nice. But I tend to not do that because it's kind of a waste of money too. So
yeah.
I'll spend that elsewhere.
I feel like that Mercedes is more practical. Like you said, like it's 4-seater. You got the convertible. That's personally what I would roll with. Red interior.
Take the ladies out.
Yes, yeah. Especially in Miami, having that convertible.
Woo! Probably get whistled at by the ladies on the road. It's usually vice versa. All right. So traveling, man. I see you all over the world. I see you posting about being in crazy places. Like, where are some of the coolest places you've been, and like what do you kind of recommend when people go there, or just tell us about it?
So actually recently my girlfriend and I went to Turkey. So we flew into Istanbul, and that I would say, so I've never been to Europe or Asia. So Istanbul is the only country that's in two countries. It's in both of those countries. And another thing I didn't know about it, it's the biggest city in Europe. So that was the most interesting place I probably have ever been, just because of the culture. It's completely different than anything in the U.S. I mean, they have the call to prayer every like 4 hours. So there's like the loudspeaker, there's the mosques and everything. The history is insane in that city. It's so populated. There's so much to do. I would say Istanbul is the most interesting place I've been probably ever, to be honest. And I've traveled a few places the last like couple of months, but I would say that's probably my favorite place that favorite country that I've been. There's so much to do in Turkey, and no one's ever heard or talked about really going to Turkey.
They have good food there.
It's a lot of like kebabs and that kind of stuff. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is good. It gets old after a little bit. I'm a huge. I like my hot dog, and they have their like Turkish hot dog, which is like it's a little like on the corner of the street. It's a little sketchy, but it's really good. It's really, really good. It doesn't come with ketchup. It's got its own like sauce in it already. So it's kind of interesting, but it's still pretty good. But it's mostly like that kind of stuff.
That sounds awesome. I've always wanted to head over to Europe and just kind of gallivant around those countries. do some tasting of their food, just check out the landscape and stuff. Because I haven't been around a whole lot. I've been out of the country a few times, but nowhere like Europe or Turkey. So that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it's crazy for because you and I are both from the Midwest, and a lot of us don't really get out that much from the Midwest. So to really see that kind of stuff was a huge eye opener to me, and just see really a completely different culture. It was amazing.
The Midwest is very, very full of people who like the Midwest and stay here. Like they don't like to go anywhere. They like to just stay in the Midwest or travel to like Colorado, and that's about where they go. That kind of thing. Yeah, but I want to get out there. I want to get out to Europe and stuff.
That's how it is where I'm from. Like everybody like wants to leave, and they'll maybe leave for a year, but everyone always ends up back here. It's kind of like a trap almost. But Teddy, real quick, I had a question. Did you were you close to that Field of Dreams game?
Yeah,
was that close to you?
Yeah, it is. Yep, that's like I think I had some people that I knew going to that. I can drive there. It's like I don't know how far it is, 45 minutes maybe, but yeah, it's like right around. And that's what all of Iowa looks like. So what you guys saw there, it's literally just all cornfields.
It's a lot of Wisconsin too.
Yeah, that was Wisconsin's kind of pretty though. It's kind of like way more hilly than Iowa. Iowa's like flat as a fucking rod, man. Like it is like really, really flat. But we want to hop into the Q&A. We do one serious, one stock related, which is the serious one, and then we hop into one kind of fun one. But before this, we had a really, really funny question last week that I think I just have to ask you, just for shits and gigs. How long do you think you could last in a boxing ring against a blind prime Mike Tyson?
Wow, that's that's an interesting one.
Personally, I said 20 seconds because I think he would just be winging hooks and one of them would just hit me.
Right. Yeah, that'd be like because he hits pretty fast and hard, and even me running away from him, I don't know if I could last 20 seconds.
He'd still track you down, yeah.
Yeah,
he's got those instincts.
Yeah, he's got those instincts still, so he knows like where you're at all times, and you got to be like quiet, but you got to be quick at the same time. I mean, I think 20 seconds is I'd say 15 maybe, because I mean I'm not as quick as some of these guys out there, and that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just wanted that still cracks me up to think about kind of. But our first question for you, and we'll all kind of answer it, is what's your most confident position at the time that you are swinging?
That's a good question. So I would say, so it's got to be, like I was saying earlier, options. So most of my options, large caps. I still really like, I think it's like mid-September APT calls. And basically with that one, my game plan is once it gets back, hovers towards the 200 SMA, then I start selling some off. And then it had a huge dip like 2 weeks ago or whatever. And then that's when I started rebuying it again, right at like the 20 and the 50 SMA. So I would say, beautiful. Just because it's really around support and with the mask mandates coming back slowly but surely, with everything, I think that that one, and I should probably get a larger position too, because I am very confident about it. I don't have a large position yet on it, but and that's an option. So I don't really take a huge position in options, and it's August. So that's another some red flags there. But if mask mandates come back, that'll be a really hot stock that'll really be good. And it's at support right now, so the risk is really low compared to if Biden says something about masks being required in certain spots or whatever. It usually has a nice little pop and possibly a run-up or something too. I also don't know when earnings are, so that's another thing that is kind of something to look into.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds great. I think I'm probably gonna swing APT here soon. I've been watching it for a few weeks, scalping it and stuff, like I said, but I haven't taken a swing in it yet. But I mean, you've kind of convinced me.
Yeah.
For me, it's Penn. It's which is Barstool. They're just NFL's coming back. That chart is primed all the way to fucking the I don't even know, primed to the max. It's primed to the max. NFL's coming back. NFL's the money maker. They have Dave Portnoy, who he can say some really stupid stuff, but he can also push that stock like it is like he is Elon Musk pushing Tesla. So I mean, I like Penn here. And what are you thinking?
I have two that I'm like pretty confident in. One for me is DraftKings for the like football's coming back. Basketball starts early again this year. I think those are two big time catalysts for DraftKings. So I like DraftKings a lot. And like I mentioned earlier, I really like lots. I have just a starter in lots because I need to see confirmation of a reversal before I scale in anymore. But I think lots is extremely undervalued. It's very heavily shorted. So DraftKings and lots I'm super confident in. But like I said, wait for a reversal. Don't just go all in. You don't want to catch a knife, or you don't want to try to time a uptrend. So
Yeah. Mitch, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say DraftKings is one that I'm watching really closely as well. Kind of like what you were saying with Penn. That's another big one for the NFL. And I think they're going to continue to get a bunch of exposure. And it's right at the 200 SMA right now. So I think that'll be a really good one for you can probably even just outright hold the stock. And by the end of the NFL season, you might see 60, 70 plus dollars. Maybe they'll test that all-time high again in the 70s.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean with DraftKings buying out Golden Nugget, that's pretty big too, because Golden Nugget was kind of the side of business that they didn't have. They didn't have an online casino. They had the betting and stuff, but now they're going to have an online casino as well. So that's just big. Our question 2, which is our kind of fun, just lighthearted question, and I have an immense kind of just opinion that I'm going to throw out right after this. A kids movie that scarred you and scared you and made you have nightmares. And I have 2 of them. Night of the Living Dummy by Goosebumps. I don't know why Nickelodeon played that on a channel that I could get a hold of as a 6-year-old, because I don't think I slept for like 2 months after that. That was absolutely and utterly terrifying as a 6 or 7-year-old, however old I was. My mom had conferences. I can remember it clear as day. My mom was a teacher. She had conferences. My dad had conferences because he was a superintendent or principal. And that was on. And I watched that alone in my dark basement all by myself. And I have never recovered, I don't think. And then the second one was Beetlejuice. And if you've ever seen Beetlejuice, you know exactly why that is terrifying. And that's all I have to say about that. Dude, those are horrible movies for children. Fucking terrifying.
Yeah. So mine that I was thinking of. So it's not. So I actually watched it a couple years ago. So it's not like a kids movie, but it really like gets to me still. And my girlfriend laughs at me because she's a scuba diver. But it's called 47 Meters Under, or 47.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And
your girlfriend's a scuba diver? I have to interrupt you. Your girlfriend's a scuba diver?
Yeah.
Does she go like deep sea diving and cave diving?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. I went down the biggest rabbit hole in YouTube. Like,
dude,
I don't know how long ago on this. And that is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life as an adult. I am an adult. I'm a 22-year-old man, and that is terrifying. She literally does that. Does that scare the shit out of you that she does that?
Yeah, and so I told her that I would try once, at least to see how I would like it. I'd get certified, all that fun stuff, and so you sound like we're similar. It sounds like we're similar when it comes to that, because this movie really I want to say I'd recommend it, but I wouldn't, because it's like your anxiety is like so high the entire time. It's just,
I'm gonna watch it tonight now.
Oh my God. It's just it makes me feel like the worst thing you can do is drown to death. And this one makes it, with sharks around and you're stuck in a cage, and it's just this it's, I don't know. And you said you watched it before, so you kind of understand them. And there's like 3 of them, I think, too. there's like a sequel. There's like a third one coming out. It's I don't know. People must like it, but I watched it one time. It was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And it just haunts me like every single time I think of like jumping in the water, I think of that, and it's scary.
I can't believe your girlfriend's a scuba diver, man. Like I'm not kidding you. I think I didn't go to sleep a full night because I was watching YouTube videos that your girlfriend does that cave diving stuff and holy, like, dude, oh my gosh, where they like kick up the sand and they can't see anything. And then they're like stuck in a cave and they can't see anything. And then they get stuck and then they fall out, run out of air. And that is like the worst possible thing.
I think that's one of the sequels of that 47 meters deep. I think that's one of the sequels is they're stuck in a cave or something like that, and it's just the worst possible feeling ever. And
it gets you jitters going.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, yeah, no, a couple of things. One, I've seen that movie with the sharks, and it's terrifying because I'm super like claustrophobic, and I'm afraid of like the ocean. Not like afraid of like going out in the waves, but like being trapped in the middle of the ocean. Like that movie, like they're trapped at the bottom in a cage, and then like it gets dark and there's sharks swimming around. Like, no, thank you.
Damn.
That movie's actually pretty scary. I fell into that rabbit hole too the other day. Did you get into the section of where they're like they're climbing cave climbing or whatever, not underwater? They're just
Is
in
it the
like
putty one?
it was like the hellhole or something. Did you ever see that
Dude,
one?
I've seen too many, but I saw the putty one where he was stuck there for so long and his body's still there because they can't get him out.
Yeah, dude, they're like into these. They have to like crawl around. Like I'm super claustrophobic, so it like makes me feel weird. But the movie that scarred me, I think it's called Don't Look Under the Bed. It's like a Disney movie. Have you ever seen it? It's like the boogeyman, but these kids get trapped in like this. They go under the bed and they get trapped into this like, I don't know, world where there's this like demon like chasing them.
That's scary.
But it's like it was on Disney, and it's like actually scary. And I saw that.
Dude,
and, like,
that's what they did to me on Nickelodeon. They put Night of the Living Dummy, and then all of a sudden this dummy is like terrorizing these children when their parents aren't home, and my parents aren't home, and I got terrorized via the movie or whatever.
Yeah, that and like the Halloween Towns when I was young, those used to scare me a lot. But
Dude,
that would be my choice.
Okay, so the last thing we do on this is we do the conspiracy, where I just kind of pitch a conspiracy to you guys, and then you kind of give me your thoughts quickly about whether you think it's real or you think it's kind of bogus. So the one we have today is that the space exploration that has been taking place by Bezos and Musk and those companies that are doing it is not for fun and is not for like consumers to do that in the future. It's to prepare for the world to die and those billionaires to be like versed in going to space. And basically people just think that the billionaires are getting ready to have to leave the earth for real and to have to live in space, or if they can find another planet, to live on another planet, but they just want to get used to being in space and being in a lift and a launch. So for me, it's definitely viable. It's kind of dark and it's definitely could be real. I don't know if it's real right now because I still feel like we have quite a bit of time on the earth, but maybe they're testing the waters. Like this could be something where like 150 years from now, they look back and they say that was definitely Jeff Bezos planning to have a plane for his grandkids when the earth dies and he just wanted to start it. But I don't know if it's like at the forefront of their mind. Their mind right now for me is probably just like, I want to go to space. That would be cool. And so they go to space. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I think right now, Bezos, Musk, those guys, I think it's more of like a competition. Like they're kind of trying to see who can get there first, who can be more successful, because they got unlimited money. They can do whatever the hell they want. And I think, I'm pretty sure they hate each other too. So I think and Branson's in there too, obviously with his company. But I think between those three, I think they got unlimited money. They hate each other. And I think they're kind of trying to mark their name as the first one to take people to space and like live out in Mars or wherever the hell it might be. When it comes to the climate change thing and preparing for all that, that's actually really interesting. I've never really heard a whole lot about that, but that could possibly be in the back of their mind where they started. Maybe they got the motivation to start doing something because they're like, oh, my grandkids will have the opportunity to go and live there with like 10,000 other people or something like that, if we're able to do this right now and get everything off the ground right now. So that could possibly be, I don't really know for sure, but I think right now they just all hate each other and they're just out to prove that they're better than the other person because they all have unlimited money basically.
Literally, yeah.
I don't know if it's so much for like climate change because I think that's like we're far away from that. I mean, I think it is happening, but I think maybe it's more for like the experience. I think it is a competition like Mitch said, but I think maybe it's just like, I don't know, I kind of want to experience something and I have billions and billions of dollars. Yeah. So I think it is part competition. They want to be able to say, oh, I was the first one to go to space, but I don't know. I think maybe it'd be more for the experience. Like they have all the money in the world. I think at this point in their lives, they're like, I want to experience a little bit of everything and I have the money to do it. I mean, at least that's how I would be thinking about life at that point. When I don't have to worry about money, I'd be like, oh man, I want to experience everything I possibly can. So to
like
me,
they've flown everywhere on the earth, so they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go off the earth,
exactly.
kind of thing.
I mean, yeah. When you're that rich, it's like they want to push like the extremes of what they can do, and they all have the capability to do that. So from my perspective, I would be thinking, oh well, I think they just want to kind of experience that. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you guys. I think it's probably a part competition. Like Bezos is like, fuck Musk, I'm going to be richer and go to the moon first. And Musk is like, but I'm Elon, I'm the crazy man who's going to go to the moon or whatever. Like they just probably want to beat everyone. And then they also are just like, yeah, I want to fly somewhere new. But yeah. They could be thinking a little bit. They could be thinking tiny bit like, I just want to see what this is like in case something crazy happens, that kind of thing. But I mean, I guess we'll never know because we're not Elon Musk or Bezos. But I think that's going to wrap us up. And we want to thank you immensely, Mitch, for coming on. And we definitely want you on in the future. We want you to come back for season 2 or season 3 whenever you're free. Talk something a little deeper. Talk something a little more experienced for when the traders that listen to this graduate to that next level as we graduate to season 2. But thank you very much for coming on and giving us everything that you spoke about.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Like I said, this is my first interview anywhere, so no one's ever heard my voice or anything like that at all other than tweets. So I hope to do this more in the future. And I had a great time. This was fun. I had a few beers on the way in, and it's a great time. I'm glad to come back anytime. Just let me know, and we can make something work. And go Bucks!
Go Bucks, baby!
Yeah, like Teddy mentioned, like we're super appreciative that 1, you've never been on a podcast, and 2, you were willing to do this as like your first one ever. So we're super super appreciative for you coming on and sharing some tips and tricks for everybody. But yeah, it was a great time, and we really hope to have you on again in the future. And that's all I got.
Yeah, peace out, everybody.
You talk about him like he's decent enough. I see you moving, is he keeping up? Don't know what you're doing, but you need love. How far can you get, girl? You know I've been in love with you since the beginning, girl. Talking out of tone to me, gotta be kidding, girl. Need you all alone with me, gotta be coming.